graduates and kind of a bit confused as to how to go about it, preparing applications, you know, writing your personal statements or every other application documents that needs to be submitted. And that is the reason why this webinar has been organized, just to put you through. And that's because some of us have been through this same process, and we hope to be able to provide good guidance for you all. Right. So I'm going to be starting by taking you through the process of writing a winning application. And that would be focusing on personal statements, CVs, and scholarship applications. And that's because for most applications, you require you understand that there are specific requirements for each of them, right? So the reason I'm going to be focusing on those areas is because these are specific documents that cut across most application requirements. And you would want to know exactly what a winning application is, right? I can say I've put in a winning application because that's the reason I'm here, just as well as a number of speakers today. So I usually tell people, right, that a winning application is not simply about putting putting out like the best achievement or showing that you have the most impressive profile. No. So a winning application is all about showing the admissions committee that you are the strongest fit for such opportunity. And that is what I'm going to be highlighting in today's presentation. Next slide, please, because of our time. So right, I'll start by saying a little about my journey, just a brief, because in the course of the presentation, I'll try as much as possible to chip some things in. So as a Nigerian lawyer, worked for a few number of years. Then I decided to pursue graduate study at the University of Oxford. And upon admission, I got awarded the MasterCard Foundation AFOC Scholarship, and then completed the Bachelor of Civil Law, which is a master's program in law. So one thing I want to highlight even as we start today is that successful applications, you need to know, are not necessarily submitted by the most accomplished candidates. And I choose to highlight this because I've been able to review several applications. I mean, for several people, people who are pursuing graduate studies, and I'll tell you that a number of people have the best profile you can ever come across. Several people have achieved a lot of things. However, you see them making several applications, first year, second year, third year, and not getting in. The most important thing is to get in, right? So one thing I've noticed is, and that is what I highlighted in this place, and I want you to understand perfectly, because you see a lot of people come to you and they wonder, oh, is there a reason why I had a first class, I had double first class graduates, I had like the best distinctions in these courses, and still I did not get admitted. I didn't get this particular funding. What exactly is the problem? So right, this the challenge could be a number of things, but I'm going to be focusing on these areas which I think are very critical and very relevant to your application. They could make or they could mar your application. And yes, so I'm going to be covering writing an effective CV, crafting a compelling personal statement, writing a winning scholarship application, common mistakes to avoid, and the practical tips for success. Now, one thing, okay, please, next slide, so I can just not talk much before getting into the most important aspect. All right, yes. So one thing I usually emphasize is before you put out your applications, you need to be able to think like the admissions committee. You need to put yourself in their position. What exactly do they want to see in my application? How are they assessing my application? Right. So admissions committee, admissions reviewers have specific things that they want to see in a specific candidate. Of course, you would want to highlight academic excellence, very important. The experiences are very critical. You have good career goals, leadership and impact, then strong communication. All of this, excuse me, all of this combined together often make a competitive application. However, before you can put out an application, I usually emphasize with asking yourself, do I actually have the things that the admissions committee require? So one thing I usually tell people again, right, is hello, the websites, the school's websites have every information that you need. So I think the challenge for most of us is that we don't read. Like many times we don't take our time to read a lot. And one thing I have a challenge with, sorry to say, is speaking with people. People come to you and they're like, "Oh, Bukola, I want to apply to Oxford, and I already I want to apply to Oxford. Do you think I'm going to do I need to submit a CV because I want to apply to Oxford? Do I need to, well, how many words should my personal statement be?" And I'm like, okay, sorry, okay, you want to apply to Oxford, you want to apply to the Faculty of Law program, and you don't know how many words your personal statement should be. I mean, that already shows that you lack preparation. I mean, proper preparation for whatever you're applying for. So, I mean, I believe if you really want to take this step, because for me, I believe if you really want to pursue graduate studies and you want to be successful at it, you definitely want to do the work. You want to put in the work, right? Nobody is going to put in the work for you. If like you have someone who is doing the research for you or who is giving you the tips and everything, you definitely want to be able to put in as much work as possible. I know when I started my grad school applications, I know how many people I consulted. I know how much work I had to do prior to putting in an application at all. If before I put in my grad school application, I think that was in 2023 for the admission year of 2024. I started writing personal statement for people who were pursuing graduate studies 2 years before. And that was because I really I started doing research on, okay, what does it require to write a personal statement? I started doing research. I wanted to understand what it was like, what the process was like, what makes a successful personal statement. And in the process, I had, I started writing personal statement for people. I was receiving some money. And it just helped me like get so much understanding about what was required. Okay. So, as I said, the websites, the institutional websites, they often have all the information that you need. In fact, more than what you need. So, the first step I would usually recommend is you want to know what the admission committee require from you. Please read the website. That's first. Read and understand. Do your research. It is very important. I cannot overemphasize it. Do your research. Start from the country you want to go. You want to go to. Okay, I want to go to the UK. I want to go to the US. When you've highlighted that, then you highlight the institutions, then you are able to do proper research on each of these schools. Then you are able to now highlight what they want from you. Most admission reviewers want to, when they are looking at your application documents, they are checking, are you qualified? Do you meet the eligibility requirements? Because oftentimes you put in applications and you are not eligible, that you are not eligible for. You're already out from the get-go. Are you a good fit? These are questions you need to ask yourself. Can you succeed in this program? Some of these questions, most of these questions, they are very important. Next slide, please. Next slide, because I know my other slides are very loaded. All right. So let's talk about the application documents themselves. I know that some schools do not require you to submit your CV. Next slide, please. While some do, I know for the Faculty of Law Oxford program, be it the BCL or the Masters in Law and Finance, you're required to submit a CV. And I also know that many of us here have written CVs. We have good CVs, we have great CVs because we have great jobs, right? An academic CV may not be exactly the same as a professional CV. So what exactly is being required from your CV? You need to be able to present all of these things. However, what I would call best practices in terms of grad school application is you ensuring that your CV is very much strategic to the application. You're tailoring your CV to the program. That's why I usually recommend having a master CV. That we are not doing a CV master class today. However, I'll try as much as possible to highlight some important things within the time that I have. Try as much as possible to tailor your CV to the program. You're applying to you intend to apply for both the BCL or the Masters in Law and Finance. You are not submitting the same CV for the same application because they require different things. Right. So your CV should not just be a list of your achievements. We know you're highly achieved, right? However, you're highly achieved. However, it should be very much strategic as to how to put these things using action verbs. I don't need to go like in depth into all of this because this is something many of us probably have experience in. But as much as possible, impact is important. So try as much as possible to quantify whatever you're putting in your CV so that whoever is reviewing it can really see what you have achieved in terms of the metrics, in terms of the impacts that you have made. Your formatting, professional, very much easy to read. I've reviewed several CVs and I can tell you many times, I tell myself, you really, really need to put in a lot of work into this. Your CV should be highly organized. And again, very much important, I'll keep emphasizing this. No man is an island of knowledge. Give your CV out to people. Give them to friends. Ask for external review. Ask people to review your CV for you. It is very much important. You need an external eye. And lastly, be very much truthful about whatever you're putting into your CV while still blowing your trumpet. I'm going to move on from here, please. Next slide. And I'm going to focus a little more on personal statements. Okay, on personal statement. And that's because it's a very much important document and something many students struggle with. I know that we have ChatGPT now. Many of us have found it easier to use ChatGPT or AI to write our personal statement. But I still emphasize that authenticity is still very much important. It's very much important in writing your personal statement. A personal statement should not be a repetition of your CV. Your personal statement is like a story. And that's why I usually say people who can write the best story, who can write their stories in the best way, usually write the best personal statement. Your personal statement is not for you to just highlight your achievements or what just as you have put in your CV. It is to show who you are. Who are you? How can the admissions committee who have not met you physically, how can they identify who you are? Why are you pursuing this particular course? Why this program? What do you intend to achieve afterwards? These are things you need to put into your personal statement. If you don't know how to write a personal statement, go on YouTube. Go check online. There are different ways you can learn how to write a personal statement. You need to put in the work. And when I try to tell people how to write a personal statement, I emphasize starting from the past, present, and future. That is my own strategy on how to write it. And that's because I believe that when writing a personal statement, you want to tell your story. You want to be able to tell, the admissions committee or the reviewers that this is what I have been through. These are the challenges I have passed through. These were the things I have overcome. And after overcoming these things, this is where I am now. Right. This is like how far I have grown. Right. And these experiences that I have, these experiences have actually prepared me for where I am going to right now and where I want to be. And that is why I'm pursuing this program. So if you're able to highlight some of these things, writing about your past, about your present, and about your future, and being much specific about the program, I believe you'll be able to come a long way in writing your personal statement. And this is very much personal to you. It's not an argument about, I'm told to write a personal statement. No, I'm told to write a statement of purpose. The most important thing is what exactly is the prompt? Because many times, many of us just see, University of Oxford or University of Cambridge wants me to submit a personal statement of 500 words, and we go ahead to write it. But on the website, it is written, there's a prompt, there's an instruction on what exactly you need to write upon. Okay, Perhaps it is um write a personal statement of 500 words about, next slide please, about what you have achieved or what you intend to, about why. My time is fast spent. Right. So now there's always a prompt on the website. So you want to read the prompt, you want to respond accurately. Next slide, please. You want to respond accurately to whatever the prompt is. And still on personal statement, I usually say do as much as possible. Do not be generic in your personal statement. As specific, be as specific as possible. Don't write your life story. Do not repeat your CV. Don't be overly dramatic. Oh, my mom, my grandma died. Except if it is very, very critical, very important to your story, or it actually tells about your resilience, then maybe it's may like form part of your story. And also, you need to be able to tailor, as I said earlier, your personal statements to the program fit. I always emphasize again, show, don't tell. Oh, I am very much passionate about law. No, who cares? You need to be able to tell us what your passion has led you to achieve. I am a strong leader. No, you want to be able to present example as to how you have become, how you have shown those receipts as to how you have shown good leadership. You need to be able to present them. These are examples of how you can show rather than tell in your personal statement. Next slide, please. In your personal statement. So a personal statement, as I said, the previous slide. Yes, okay. Yes, the previous slide. I'll try to go through. So, a personal statement, as I said, is more than a summary of your achievements. It is your opportunity to tell the story behind them. So, be able to tell the reviewers what you have done, tell them who you are, why it matters, and where you are going. If your CV is telling them what you have done, your personal statement should be able to tell them who you are. And to the next slide, which is like writing a scholarship application, is being able to tell the funders, okay, I am good enough for you to invest in me. Right. So writing a scholarship statement, it's another thing. It's very much different from a personal statement. So you want to be able to answer the question of why the funders should invest in you. Why should they invest a huge amount of money in you particularly? What difference will it make? And that's because most scholarship funders, they have their values, they have their goals. They're receiving this money from other institutions, other bodies, and they have like things they need to prioritize. How do you meet their values? How do you meet their goals? So you need to be able to target your application to what their goals are, to what their requirements are. So strong scholarship applications demonstrate all of this. So I've mentioned that you need to be able to target. And yes, also emphasizing, yeah, I say why funding matters. I put it there because maybe this can be a ginger for you. Sorry to use that word. Maybe this can be a motivation to you. Maybe when you think about the need for scholarship, please, like just a few minutes and I'll conclude. I promise. Maybe you need to think about why you need the scholarship opportunity, right? Because when you think about it, I mean, I'm an FOX Mastercard. I mean, Mastercard. I don't want to say AFOX scholar anymore alone. So now, as a Mastercard Foundation AFOX scholar, I have benefited a lot from like fully funded scholarship. Not just fully funded scholarship, there have been several perks that come alongside it. So when you think about being able to proceed to pursue your graduate studies without any financial stress, even before you travel, even before for the AFOC scholarship, before you travel, there's a particular amount of money that is deposited into your account that, okay, if you need this particular amount of money for you to be able to get some things before you even get your scholarship, before you get your scholarship funding at all. Travel costs, oh, you want to travel back to your country within a specific time doing your scholarship. These things are very much like included. Leadership development, professional network, mentorship, fellowship. So perhaps you want to think about maybe if your parents can afford to send you like your your um to fund your studies, but there are other things that are still attached to scholarship opportunities if you intend to pursue this. So you want to think exactly about why it matters to you, because if it really matters to you, then you definitely will want to put in a compelling scholarship statement that is very convincing to show them that, see, I really, really, really need this opportunity. Next slide, please. Even as I conclude from my head, yes, I say this, cast a wide net. There's different funding categories. I learned very long ago that you don't just focus on a on a particular scholarship opportunity. You cast your net very wide. There's something I learned about scholarship stacking. There's external specific, internal specific. Dual getting would emphasize that a lot. There are university-wide scholarships. Apply to this to them. Government scholarship, foundation scholarships. So when you are able to combine every of these scholarship applications, you know that at least, at least by the grace of God, one of them should work out. So, and also very much, next slide, please. Very much important is when you're applying for scholarship applications, always read your eligibility criteria so you don't just like put in wasted efforts. So, my success tips: speak to current and past scholars. I know that that's the reason why many of us are gathered here today, in order to learn from people who have done the same thing. With regards to scholarship applications as well, speak with people who have been able to attain such scholarship opportunities. Tailor your profile to each of these scholarship values. Understand the selection process. Very much important for AFOX, for example. It is admission before scholarship interview. So you have to be admitted to the university before you are even considered for an interview for the HAFOX scholarship. So you need to be able to understand the whole process and speak to the right people and apply broadly. Cast your net wide. Next slide, please. Yes. So in order to put in a good application, as much as possible, try to start early. Do not submit generic applications. Yeah, focus more on achievements. Do not focus only on achievements. Right, do not focus only on achievements, but also focus on impact. Next slide. Oh my God, I'm on I'm on speed. Yes. So yeah, this application tracker is what I have prepared because it's something that I think can help every one of you to track your applications and also be able to monitor what is required, deadlines and all. So if you're able to get the slide after the whole session, I think you can adapt it according to your needs. And I'm going to come to the end of my presentation because I'm actually already overwhelmed because I was on speed. Right. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm going to hold on to the question and answer session to take your questions.
Thanks, Bukola. No, I appreciate that you were trying to load so much value into what originally was 15 minutes. So well done. And like you said, we'll speak to the speakers to send round the presentation slides so the participant can have a reference material. And, like lawyers like to say, the devil is always in the detail, so they can go through the detail themselves. I think my takeaway from the session was what you said about making sure you research the criteria before you actually apply. And I often say, like, one of the best advice I've received from my mentors is, you should look at the criteria for your dream job before you need to apply for your dream job. So if you need to apply to Oxford and you're in uni first year or second year, this is the time to actually look up all the requirements. Because if the requirement says you need to graduate with a first class and you've only just checked in your final year and you're on a 2-2, then your chances of getting into Oxford is very slim. So if you're in your first year, I think you're luckier than most people because you're still malleable and you can fix the foundation. So thank you very much for that. Yes, our time is fast spent. I will, just jump into the next